Okay, so we'll do this live, so hopefully I get it right. So I'm going to change my fit to be a parabola. And then I'm going to capture the x squared coefficient here.
So all the x squared coefficients were really small.
Yeah, I'm multiplying by 100.
Yeah, but it's still small, like they were.
Okay. But what his code does is it actually looks at sorry, this is confusing, but it takes the max value and the min value, divides by 9, and it gives you 10 buckets. And so the scaling is only just for our usefulness, but I can scale it by 100, or I can scale it by, what would you want to suggest?
100's fine if it doesn't matter what the actual numbers are, it just divides it.
Yeah, so it still creates 10 buckets.
Alright.
Okay. I was the previous time I was multiplying by 100 to give the 100-year change, but we actually never even looked at it. So, but it's fine. What matters with this coefficient mostly is whether it's positive or negative, because that tells us concave up, concave down.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go through those buckets, and now we'll execute the map. Okay, so it's making the map. Hopefully, it doesn't take too long. Usually, I think it takes about 30 seconds. So tell me what you're expecting to see.
So we shouldn't see any of these lighter colors, or at least much less of them.
Well, no, the lighter colors are just the bottom bucket.
Oh. Wow.
So you do see lighter colors. That just means that the coefficient of the x squared is small here.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you see some lighter colors. So, but what's different on this map?
Well, the light,
Not quite on screen.
in the area that had like most light colored counties, now it's like the most red area.
Okay, so what does that mean there?
Well, that means like most of the counties, with the best fit line, it just showed them like slightly increasing, but the actual data must have gone down and then up, and then the parabola must have been a lot steeper.
Okay.
So I guess it just shows the ones that have, I guess what he said, steeper parabolas, and they're more liable to increase more in the future.
So yeah, so it's interesting. So here we're seeing a very different picture than just the line. So what is that? If you were thinking previously, like say about Alabama, and we were looking down here in the United States and saying, hey, we don't see from start to finish in the last 100 years, we don't see a lot of temperature change. What are we seeing now when we look at these parabolas?
Oh, well, we're seeing a lot of temperature change.
Like we're seeing the most temperature change.
We're seeing a lot of change. We're seeing some steeper parabolas. So, and now we can actually look at these coefficients. So this was the distribution of the first one. This was the 100 years, just the last 10 minus the first 10. This was the distribution of the percent change, I think. So they were similar anyway. Because, this is the percent change one that we were seeing. And we had a few negatives. I'm not sure what this one is, so let's just do the histogram now to look at what we're seeing. And so these are the distribution of 100 times the coefficient of the parabola. So we can see it's mostly positive.
Just like
in fact, maybe hardly any actually negative.
I think I saw a couple.
a few.
Okay, maybe we can. My on screen here is this whole one. Looks like there's a single one that's below 0.
Wow.
So our parabolas that approximate the temperature data are all concave up. Essentially for every county.
There might be the one that doesn't have. Is that the one that doesn't have data?
Maybe it is. Maybe the one that doesn't have data is that one here. But for all practical purposes, we're pretty far away from 0, and we don't seem to cross it.
Yep.
So it tells you if we were going to approximate with a quadratic function, we'd have a very different approximation for the next 100 years than with the lines.
Yeah.
Because these parabolas are all concave up, which means they're bending. Are they bending towards higher temperatures or lower temperatures compared to the lines?
Higher temperatures.
Yeah, so it tells us that the lines might undershoot. They might.
Yep.
That's pretty interesting. It's a very different look. But I'll tell you this, you were asking about how to make predictions. Predictions are hard.
Yeah.
And you can see it just from this. Just here's two different ways of looking at this, and they give us two very different pictures. One, with the straight lines, we were left with the impression that this part of the United States wasn't really warming very much. And with these quadratic approximations, the surprising thing is the part that didn't look like it was warming very much is actually
Warming the most.
possibly most exposed. So
Yep.
it's pretty surprising. So, all right, hey, good job, guys. This is it's a great project.